So let's start with the first easy question for the audience. Who is drinking Nespresso coffee? Raise your hand. Wow, that's great. Okay, so, and who already ordered online using our e-commerce platform, the website, or the mobile apps? Okay, great. Yeah. So if you did, you are part of the 500,000 people that are using our website daily. In fact, 50% of the worldwide sales are done online using either our website or our mobile apps, which represents more than $1 billion per year. We are present in more than 40 markets. So Spain is, of course, one of them, where the people like you to drink small coffees, ristretto, espresso. We are also present in the US, of course, where people like to drink larger coffees. So I took that's the European capsules, and that's the ones for the US. That is about 3 times bigger, you know. So with that, you can make your 1 liter thermos in the morning without any problem. So that system is called Vertuo. It has been developed for the US, and since several months ago, it has been launched in France as well. But in the US, you have also some special cups like that one, very nice, red and black. And this is a half caffeinated coffee. I didn't even know that it exists. You know, you have the decaffeinated, and the one with caffeine. That one is half caffeinated. So maybe that's good before going to bed. I don't know if you want to sleep, but not too much. Okay, so yeah, each market is very specific, as you will see in the course of the presentation. And we have some peaks on our platforms. Usually it happens before Christmas. Everybody is waiting some guests for Christmas, so they want to order in the last minute. We have some peaks at 8,000 orders per hour. Okay, so today, Jérôme and I are going to tell you a story. The story of how we build our e-commerce platform back in 2010 and how we improve it year after year. How we improve our ways of working in terms of release management year after year. So you will learn a bit about agility. You will especially understand how it is sometimes difficult to bring agility and DevOps processes within a very large waterfall organization like Nestlé. We are going to talk about release processes. Here you will understand how you could organize your teams and your ways of working better in order to better deliver. And we'll, of course, give you concrete examples about how we configure, we tune our tools, so the Atlassian tools, the other tools as well, and also the add-ons. We are using a lot of add-ons, so we'll discover how we use them. Okay, let's move back to 2010. So in the beginning of 2010, I was working for a large international audit company in Moscow, Russia. And 2010 was not very nice because there was the crisis there. And I understood that, in fact, working as an IT auditor was not really my cup of tea. So I preferred coffee. That's why when I heard about that opportunity to move back to Switzerland and start working for Nespresso, I jumped on it. So I started in March 2010 with the marketing department at Nespresso, because all the e-commerce platforms were managed by the marketing department at that time. And I started working on a platform called Nest Club One. So Nest Club One is an e-commerce platform based on it's a complete custom solution that has been developed by only 3 developers at Nespresso. And there we had, let's say we were almost in a DevOps, because there was the same guy who were doing the build, the sustain, the deployment. Okay, there was almost only one guy relying for all that, plus two other ones that were helping him. And I was responsible of that platform when I joined, but I heard about a new project, a new ongoing project, Nest Club 2. In fact, our management attended several marketing presentation about wonderful products, and they decided to go on with a product called Hybris. 7 years ago, it was not part of SAP. It has been bought by SAP, I think, 3 to 4 years ago. So with Hybris, we hired a supplier with a fixed-term, fixed-price contract. We launched an RFP, and in fact, the supplier who proposed, who had the price that were 2 times lower than the other, was selected. We onboarded 25 people, both on-site in Lausanne and nearshore. And in fact, we built a platform, the new platform, that was in fact a copy of Nest Club One in terms of business requirements. I mean, the business requirements, yeah, let's do the same, just on Hybris. And yeah, it took us a bit more than 6 months, in fact 9 months, in order to launch the first market, that was UK. And it was a great success for the first 3 days. Because what happened the first days that we started to get complaints from the customers who ordered but didn't receive their orders. We checked in the system, and we didn't even record their orders. They told us, yeah, but my credit card was debited. We checked with the payment service provider. Yeah, indeed. So we debited the credit card, but we didn't ship the good. Very profitable business. And so, yeah, what could have been very nice became just a nightmare when the legal department, the financial department got involved. And as it was not the only issue, we had a lot of design issues on the platform. We had also performance issues, like we were putting more than 50 customers on the platform, it was crashing. So it took us almost 1 year to stabilize the platform. 1 year before we were ready to launch the second market, that was Switzerland, and that one went, much better, hopefully. So then the idea was to migrate all our markets. I told you more than 40 markets from Nest Club 1, the old platform, to Nest Club 2, the new one. And for that, we needed more features because each market has its own specificities. For example, in Switzerland, people like to pay things on time. So they are using, they didn't like to take the risk at that time of paying online by credit card. So 80% of the people in Switzerland are using invoices. So they receive their orders with their invoices. They have 30 days to pay it, and they pay it. Almost everybody. Then if you take the Brazil, for example, when we were launching Brazil, I learned a new word that was, I didn't know, my level of English is not so good. I didn't know the word installments. And I understood it when I started working with Brazil. In fact, there, they order like, I don't know, 200 capsules. They need to pay like 100 reals. I think it's reals in Brazil. They are going to split the payment in 10 times. Month after month, they are going to pay 10 real, 10 real, 10 real. And that split payment is called installments. So that's the kind of feature that we had to implement for Brazil. And each and every market had its own specificities. So it took us quite a lot of time to implement all those enablers. And also when we were stabilizing Nest Club 2 during 1 year, Nest Club 1, the 3 guys working on Nest Club 1 continue to deliver new features. We had to build them as well on Nest Club 2. So for our management, it didn't go fast enough. So what we did, we didn't have a money problem because Nespresso was growing by more than 50% per year at that time. So what did we do? We added more people. So we were like 25, I told you, 25 developers in 2010. We moved to more than 200 people today. And I'm not talking about project managers, business analysts. I'm talking only about developers, Java developers, front developers, etc. So we had also to increase the number of locations from only 2 locations in 2010, Lausanne and Rabat in Morocco. We added Berlin, where we have a team of mobile developers, iOS, Android. We added Cluj last year in Romania. And more recently, this year, we added Barcelona as well, because it's the place to be, Barcelona. More location, but also more technical complexity. At the very beginning, we had Nest Club 2 that was connected to, of course, our ERP. Because, in fact, we are doing business online, but also in the boutiques, in the call centers. So we are omni-channel, so we had to be tightly integrated with our ERP. We were also connected to the mobile apps, iOS, Android. We are connected to the pickup point service provider that is aggregating all the different pickup points of every country. And same for payment. We have several payment services providers that are aggregated through one payment service we are using. And more, we added like new services. So one repository for recipes. Yeah, we have recipes, so you can make a lot of nice recipe based with coffee, with alcohol, some of them you should try. Then we had the business API that allows our local markets to implement their own solution and to connect to Nest Club 2. We had a POI, it's a point of interest, where we have a repository for recycling points, kind of thing. Okay, so more and more complexity in our landscape. So when you have more features, more people, more locations, now more technical complexity, of course we had to adapt our tools, we had to adapt our ways of working in order to continue delivering better and better. And Jérôme is going to explain you how we did it.
Thank you. Exactly, David. So, we decided to work on 3 different axes. So what's not the fire, but more or less. Methodology, releases, and teams. First, defining the methodology we want to follow. In 2011, we decided to use Scrum as our methodology. The beginning was quite complicated, as you can imagine. We were a software factory we were an agile software factory in a waterfall company. We were doing a kind of, I don't know if all of you know, the kind of water Scrum fall, iterative sprints. At that time, our teams were having different ways of doing Scrum. The length of the sprints were different, the ways of working were not aligned, the team were broken in silos, and we still need to deliver one single e-commerce platform. We were already seen as strange IT guys by the rest of the company, so if you had the feeling of being disorganized, it's really not a good idea. So we took 2 decisions. First, in 2013, we aligned everybody around the same schedule, our release plan, 4 major releases per year. Everybody was following exactly the same planning. First, sprints of 2 weeks. We have 6 sprints for the build phase, then 3 for stabilizing the release. During this period, we are doing non-migration tests, user acceptance test, market acceptance test, security scan, performance test, before the go live, and afterwards we have an hypercare period with hotfixes and feature activation. And of course, at the same time we are stabilizing one release, we start to work on the next one. Then in 2015, we decided to break the silos. Before, our team was split by skills. So we have teams of e-commerce developer, mixing Java and front developer. We have teams of mobile developers, we have configurators, we have solution designers, and we have testers. How can you deliver a feature if you are not working as one team? So, we created cross-functional teams. It's not a big idea, but we came from one model to the other one. So in this cross-functional team, you will find a Scrum Master, you have the solution designer, you have the configurator, you have the testers, and of course, you retrieve developers. Currently, as David mentioned, we have 18 cross-functional teams. 7 in Lausanne, 6 in Rabat. We have 2 teams in Berlin, 2 teams in Cluj in Romania, and one team starting recently in Barcelona. Okay, great. But how about tools? You are not here to listen to processes, organization, and of course you are right. So imagine how it was at the beginning for tools. Exactly the same misalignment. We have people working on JIRA, but two different instances. We have other people using Mantis, and even Pivotal Tracker. And I don't speak about boards with post-its. It was completely not aligned. So for us, the consequences are the following. Absolutely no integration between tools. Again, no standard ways of working. Even the two JIRA instances have different issue types, fields, workflows. And for us, it's impossible to consolidate reports without manually gathering all this data from these tools. So clearly, we were not able to manage our releases correctly. So we took a radical decision here, having everybody working on the same set of tools. So in 2013, we chose JIRA as the key component of our release management system. But why? First, it's a proven and it's a mature development tool. Then the community behind it is large and active, providing a lot of add-ons on a huge marketplace. It can be highly customized. And of course, before some of our teams are already working with JIRA, and we see that it's working. So we spent some months aligning the configuration, training the guys to use JIRA, and at the end, everybody was feeling comfortable with it. I don't know for you, but our main feature we used at the beginning were agile boards. These boards allowed our teams to manage their backlog of stories and their sprints. So first it was using Greenhopper, and then JIRA Agile. Quickly, we coupled JIRA with Confluence. Three main usages behind this. First, documenting our technical specification. In Nespresso, our solution designer, or lead developer if you prefer, are interacting a lot with their teams, and Confluence facilitated their day-to-day work by allowing content modifications, comments, and all this interaction that you can have when you are splitting. The second usage for us was the configuration notes. Effectively, in Nespresso, 99% of the time, as David mentioned before, our features have on-off switches and are activated after the go-live. So Confluence helped us to document our configuration notes and share them with the business and the markets. And our last usage is about deployment notes. As we have to hand over our deployment activity to a dedicated infrastructure team, we describe all the steps needed to deploy our applications. In addition to that, we created a specific issue type in JIRA to request for a deployment and to follow its status. So now, I probably know what most of you think. Why relying so much on manual activities? Why not automatize the whole deployment process? And again, on the development side, we work on this topic and came with solutions and tools. Our code is version, I guess, like most of you, is version in Bitbucket. We build our application using Jenkins jobs, publish the artifact on Nexus, and then deploy them automatically on our dev environment. Each code change has to be reviewed by at least 2 developers before being committed on the master branch. And we are using Bitbucket pull request for this. And as you can see here on the screen, this is just an example of the status you can see of the pull request in JIRA. We also use an add-on called Test Environment Manager. Information like the environment status and the deploy version is automatically updated in JIRA by Jenkins. We are currently testing a new feature from this add-on called Release Planner. It should allow us to plan all the events that will occur on our different environment, because we have a lot of environment, and let our stakeholders to subscribe for notification when this planning is changing. To complete this picture, just for this part, we modelized our July release with this functionality, and the first results were really quite promising, even if it's still a beta version of the feature. And to complete my turn about tools, to ensure our code quality, we added SonarQube in our landscape. SonarQube is reviewing automatically all our pull requests and commenting the violation, as you can see here on the screen. So we were mostly satisfied with our implementation of Atlassian tools, but in 2015, our QA team came with a new process, SDLC 2.0, Software Development Lifecycle 2.0. And with one statement: we have a corporate solution for tracking changes and testing HPL. Our first reaction was, oh my God, it's not possible. All our teams were using JIRA. We worked hard to unify our tools, and now we will miss part of important information there. It's not possible. We don't want to change a tool. We want to have this information there. We need to find a way to synchronize JIRA with HPLM. And with the marketplace, with all the add-ons, we found one that helped us doing this. Connector. I don't know if you know the tool already, but I will just explain you the principle behind it. For us, it's simple. All change requests for new feature is created in HPLM. Then it's automatically synced to JIRA. Our teams write their stories as they do usual in JIRA. They just have to link the stories to the change request, and these stories are automatically synced back in HPLM for our testers to ensure they cover each story scope with their test cases. Finally, when testing campaigns have been executed in HPLM, the related defects are synced back to JIRA, so our team can handle them like they do with standard bugs during their sprints. But why it's important to continue to have one single tool to manage our releases? Why do we gather all this data in one place? Of course, to follow the status of our releases. With this, we can continue to use JIRA dashboards. Here is an example of one dashboard we are using with the showstopper of the blocking issues, either bugs or defects coming from HPLM or bugs in JIRA, split per team. We can also continue to follow the trend of the bug creation, the fix type. And we also created what we called scorecard. Most of the information that you can see here it's a Word document, sorry guys, but most of the information is extracted from JIRA. So you retrieve on the right part of the document the blocking issue per releases. With a priority, you have still the fix type or the origin of the bugs, you have the number of stories, you have the feature included in the release. And in addition to this information, we included some other information coming from other tools, because not everything is not in JIRA. For example, the incident in production, and then also the delay about our releases. Typically, these figures are used by us to during our release retrospective. The goal is to take action on identified problems. With this, for example, we were able to detect a quality issue in data we are using during our testing campaign by comparing the increasing number of false positive bugs that were raised during the stabilization phase. This is manual. So, in addition to this, we are currently experimenting EasyBI. I don't know if you know this add-on. It's an add-on to build advanced reporting directly in JIRA. So we start with some simple chart like we have on the top cumulative flow diagram with open issues. We also have a pie chart regarding the bugs resolution type. But the goal here is to provide to our teams advanced reporting directly in JIRA, and also to try to automatize the scorecard that I showed you before. But sometimes all of you needs to be creative with your tools. That's what we did. It's a real experience that I had, I guess, one year ago. One day, an IT project manager, and sorry for the project manager in the room, an IT project manager came to me and asked, "Can you give me the percentage of progress of my feature? I needed to follow your development." As a Scrum Master at that time, my first answer was, "No way. You follow the sprints, I will provide you burnout charts about your feature, and I won't give you more." As I am working for a large company, after a few days, my management came to me and asked, "Can you provide this percentage of progress anyway?" So at the beginning, as human, we try guesses. 86, 87%. Okay. And quickly, some question came like, "Why only 1% since yesterday?" My God. Okay. Stop this foolish game. We don't continue like this. I will try to find a solution to give you this percentage anyway. And again, with an add-on of JIRA, I was able to do it. The add-on is called Structure. Structure allows you to create a trees of issues and then compute automatically sums, percentage based on different fields in JIRA. But one that interested me at that time, that was the story status. So what I start to do is, you have here on the left, I start to create a grid with story status and the percentage. Open 0%, reopen 10%, in progress 50%, and the tool does the rest, including adding white based on story point. The only thing I need to ensure is that I continue to maintain correctly my tree of structure, of the structure, and that's it. And as you can see, the numbers, the figures are still as arbitrary as our guesses. It's me that just set up this percentage. But now we can explain how we came to the percentage, and it's computed automatically and in real time if you want. Our developers have just to move the story from one status to another one. That's all. So that's how now in Nespresso we are providing a report about the percentage of progress of all features of each release. Management is happy, project manager are happy. Perfect. Last tool we introduced recently was HipChat. 2 years of discussion, meetings, emails with our security department to have another compliant chat tool. I don't know if you experience the same thing as us, but yeah, okay. Sometimes it's worth to spend time. As you may have noticed, it's not always easy to apply changes in big company, especially when they are coming bottom up. But with all our efforts and with those tools, our growing development teams are able to collaborate efficiently over 5 locations on a complex environment. That's cool, clearly. So, now, how about the future, David?
That's a very good question, Jérôme. What's next? So you understood that with Nest Club 1, we were very close to DevOps. After our 7 years working on Nest Club 2, we are much further. In fact, we have still some enormous challenge in order to move closer to a continuous delivery. And I'm going to tell you a bit what are our next steps. So the situation today, as you understood, as we explained you, so we managed to hire people, like 200 people, split it in 5 different locations. We structured them in cross-functional teams that are autonomous, so that's quite nice. In terms of tooling, we installed all the nice tools that Jérôme just showed you. It's working quite well. We still need to improve on some aspects, but let's say that the foundations are there in terms of tooling. Now we need to focus on our ways of working. And that's the problem. We are 4 huge releases per year with a 6 weeks phase of stabilization. So during that phase of stabilization, here, everybody is becoming crazy, like thousands and thousands of bugs. Okay, maybe not thousands, but hundreds and hundreds of bugs are raised by the manual testers that are based in India. That's a lot of stress. And we would like to move to something closer to that, to a continuous delivery process where at the end of every sprint, so every 2 weeks, we would have like one release that is ready to be shipped in production. So we'll have a release candidate in the end of every sprint. For that, we need to have automated non-regression testing that is done in the end of the sprint, within the sprint. Then, when you have your release candidates every 2 weeks, we have another process where the business say, hey, I want to go live because I need the new features that were developed in the last 2 months. Then there is a new process where they have some user acceptance testing, market acceptance testing, because we are in a big company, so everybody wants to validate everything that we push live. Security scans, etc. Security scan, I think we can automate them as well with the automated tests in the end of every sprint. But there are still some operations that, at least in the middle term, we'll still need to do before pushing it live. And so, to move closer to that, we have 4 main ongoing initiatives. The first one is called Moon. Nice name for an initiative. So, Moon, in fact, is in order to fight against the 60% of false positive bugs that are raised by the testers during the stabilization phase. And we want to create like a golden data set of configuration that is in fact a virtual market that is on the moon. So it's like Switzerland or Spain or the US, but there is a set of configuration that is versioned and that we are deploying on every night on all the non-productive environment, so that our tests can be much more predictable. The second one is about, of course, increasing the automated testing coverage. So for that, we are now using Cucumber.js with Selenium, and we want our business analysts to write the test cases in the Gherkin syntax so that it comes directly to the test library in Cucumber. So we are working on that, but I think it will still take a lot of time until we are ready with all the 100% coverage on the platform. The third one is about environment provisioning. So now with the nice Nestlé processes, when you want to create virtual machines, you need to wait 3 weeks. So we install OpenStack, Docker, and now we can already create new environments on the fly. The problem is that our developers are still executing some manual tests on what they are currently implementing on their machines. And very often, they have their local installation, and it's usually outdated. So the first step would be for them to, on a click on a button, they can build an environment, not only for e-commerce, but with the ERP, the integration layer, the e-commerce, maybe not the mobile app, but at least until the e-commerce. And then there will be the Moon configuration that will be automatically applied so that they can run some tests on what they just developed. Then in the long term, of course, we would like to have that entirely automated so that before merging the code on the master, there will be an environment automatically created with the full non-regression testing campaign that is going to be run, and only if it is successful, the code is then merged on the master. And then the fourth one, it's about moving all our tools, the tools that Jérôme presented before, on a cloud-based infrastructure. So we work with Rackspace and Azure. And here the idea is really to be more flexible with our external partners so that we can give them access to all our tooling without having to go through the complicated process of creating a Nestlé account where the SLA is 3 weeks. Yeah, so that's the idea with that fourth initiative. And it's already, it's already ongoing, and we have already some of the tools that are there on the cloud-based infrastructure. We are not using JIRA Cloud. We need to keep our data on our infrastructure due to mainly privacy reason. I mean, we don't want that. It's a bit risky for a company like Nestlé. So yeah, that's the reason they didn't allow us to move to the cloud. But when we saw the keynote yesterday, we saw the great features that are coming to the cloud first. Maybe at some point they will reconsider to go much faster to the cloud. Let's see. So today we talked about agility. So I guess you all understood how it is complicated to move to more agile processes in organization like Nestlé. So here the suggestion would be, if you are in a big company as well, you need really to have the support from your management, and you need to find a great coach that is going to accompany you towards the transitions to agile. We talked about release processes. So here we did like these cross-functional teams. So we have people like mobile developers, Java developers that are working together. It worked well for us. Maybe it's going to work well for you as well. But what I would advise you is at least to not be stuck with the big releases 4 times a year, that you will split your application, that you will split different components so that each component can have its individual release cycle. So you can push it live without having to package all together like we still have to do with our e-commerce platform. And about tools, so here, let your team be creative, let your team to explore the Atlassian marketplace, where there are really a lot of nice add-ons. And it's what we did. In fact, we encourage our teams to try new things. I mean, every day there are some new add-ons that are coming, that are published. And yeah, if you want to boost your productivity, let your team be independent on that and try new things. Maybe not in prod, but give them a sandbox so that they can try things. So now it's time to grow up. In fact, last year, what happened is that Nespresso was merged within Nestlé in terms of IT. So we are not anymore working for Nespresso only, but for all the other brands that are business to consumer. So you have Dolce Gusto, coffee, but you have also Babiness, specialty, etc. So there are many other brands that we need now to onboard because we are, even with what I presented to you, we are still the most advanced in terms of DevOps and the continuous integration of the whole Nestlé landscape. So yeah, we are trying to onboard the other ones, and that's really a lot of work, and it's not easy to change things when you're in such big waterfall organization. In fact, we came here with Jérôme today because we wanted to really share our experiences. So we hope that you understood a bit what we did, but what we want is really that after the meeting, or maybe in the event tonight around the beer, we could just exchange to other companies that are facing the same kind of issue and to understand how they overcome them, or maybe companies that are even that are not managing to move to that, and so maybe we could help. So we were very happy to be here today at the Atlassian Summit, because we also believe in teams, we believe in people, and yeah, so we accepted the invitation. So let's move to the Q&A session.